Hello everyone and welcome to Caroline's Craft Tree. Today I would like to show you how you can turn these goodies into this pocket. So I made this for a journal that I'm making, and I was going to make another one, so I thought I might as well just show you how I did this. Inside it does contain a tag. And you can easily use this in a tuck spot or glue it directly onto your page. I'm sure this is not an original idea, but I was just sitting there last night and it was just like, hey, what an idea. So I made this one and I really liked it. Okay, so let's get started and I will show you. So I used some of my eco-dyed paper just because I had some already printed off and it was just sitting there, so I thought, okay, that works. So you will need a small piece of acetate and a piece of Aida cloth, but I'm sure that you could use other fabric. I just have lots of Aida cloth. So the first thing you need to decide is how big you want your pocket. So my pocket is going to be just a tiny bit under 3 by 4 inches. So to cut your paper, the size of your pocket plus 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So that's what I have here. Then I scored it and I folded them to the right side of the paper because I want to see this through the acetate when I pull the tag out. If you have any questions about this, just let me know and I will try and explain it better. I've already done my tag. And this is actually a little pocket. This one I'm putting a little booklet into. So my pocket is ready. And I've just lightly distressed the back because I'm using this in a tuck spot and putting it into a corner pocket and not gluing it down to my page. So I've got a few die cuts I'm going to use for decoration and a few flowers that I've made. So you want your acetate a little bit smaller than your pocket once it's folded. I've already cut mine to size. And your Aida cloth, you want it a little bit bigger than your pocket because you want it sticking out the sides. So with this Aida cloth, I did it two rows bigger all the way around. And then I found the center just by folding it, marking my center. So I know for my stamp, I need 2 inches of open space to see that. So I am going to take my pencil find my center and just do a pencil line 2 inches over and 2 inches the other way as well. This way I'll know how far I need to cut. Table's so little I don't have much room. So now I am going to cut this down just so I can get a hole started in the middle. So now I'm just going to cut over to the edge. And I like to cut down the 4 ways first to get this hole. So really what I'm doing is I'm making a picture frame out of a piece of Aida cloth. Once I get those 4 done, then I just clip over so it lines up with this one here. This is probably the long way of doing it, but it's my way of doing it. You got some cute little squares to use for something afterwards. This was probably the most time-consuming part of this pocket, was prepping this Aida cloth. But I really like how this pocket turned out. And you could use a picture inside of it or something as well. So now we have our Aida cloth done. So as you can see, it's going to kind of go in like so. I might have to trim my flaps down a little bit. We'll see once I'm finished. So now I want to fray the edges, and I use a big needle for this, and I usually take 2 rows of the stitching out. Some Aida cloth is a lot harder to do this with, just because this is like quite a stiff Aida cloth. So sometimes it takes a little bit to get that second row out. I should have prepped some of these sides beforehand. There we go. And then this side. As I say, I'm sure that you could use any fabric for this. I'm sure it would work. You could even use paper on the front of it, I'm sure. As I say, that one that I showed is the first one of these. It's the second one I made. The first one didn't turn out so well. We learn something every time we make something. So now comes the fraying of the inside, which is a little bit trickier. The inside I did only do one thing, but I just pull it out, and I pull it out until it kind of goes up to here, and then I just snip it off. And I do that on the 4 sides. And like I say, I'm sure there's lots of different ways to do this. This just happens to be my way. My needle is magnetic because I keep it on a magnet close to my desk. Okay, so there's the Aida cloth done. I'm just going to ink up the edges a little bit. And using Vintage Photo. Okay, there's the outside, and then just the inside edge a little bit. I just like the look of the distressing. I do like that old vintage look of my journals and things that I make. Okay, so there is that part. There is our pocket. And I'm just going to trim a little bit off my edges here, just because of the width of everything. Because I don't really want that showing through. Get rid of some of that garbage. So I just like to keep making sure that everything's going to fit together. Okay, that's going to be better. So now what I want to do is I want to take my acetate and I want to glue that onto the top of my paper. Of course, leaving this side unglued because you need room to slide your pocket in. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for this because I like to use Fabri-Tac on my Aida cloth. So I am just going to put some Fabri-Tac along there, and along the bottom here. And my acetate is just going to go right on top. Now, because you're not going to see the edges, etc., the only place I really want it lined up is close to the edge at the top. Press that all down. Hoping this video won't be too long. Okay, so now that we've got that done, and your pocket is there, I'm just going to take my ruler, slide it in there, make sure I don't have any glue anywhere that I shouldn't have. Okay, now the next step is going to be gluing this onto the top. So what I did is my Aida cloth is going to go upside down. I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac, and on this I'm going to go all the way along, all the way around all four sides. I get a little bit on the paper as well as on the acetate, except for the top, because I do want to keep that pocket there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to lay it on top on the back side of the Aida cloth. Then I can kind of line it up with my frayed edge. So then when I flip it over, you can see a little bit of the paper there, but that's okay. So there is a good start. Now you can slide the little card into here. And there it's going to be. So then we can decorate it a little bit. I've already kind of got these, and I've already inked these up just for the sake of time. So I think I'm going to put this darker one here with the bird on top. I'm thinking on doing it that way just to help hide my little boo-boo on the paper underneath. That will look good, so let's cut this off here. Okay, here we go with a few finishing touches. Okay, so I'm going to glue up the back of this a bit. I like using Fabri-Tac. It works really good and it dries quite clear, so I don't have to worry about getting, except if you don't put the lid on it, it dries out really quick. So that is going to go up like that there. I don't mind if it sticks out of the edges at all. Okay. You do get those strings from the Fabri-Tac, but small price to pay. Okay, now let's glue on the bird. Again, I'm just gonna, I don't worry too much about it being solid on the back, but I want quite a bit to hold my stuff on. This bird, I just cut it out of a book that I had. Hopefully everything isn't still in frame. Okay, so there is that. Now for these, my thought was putting one of those there, and then just a little piece of that, and doing that kind of on both sides. So let's trim that off about there someplace. A little bit more Fabri-Tac. And that's going to go right about there. And you could decorate these with anything that you wanted. Okay, this one, I'm just going to use this piece here. You could use any kind of flowers, any kind of cutouts, things from books or magazines, or just put a little paper flower, or possibilities are pretty much endless on this. Okay, let's just kind of put that like so. Trying not to give it too much thought on exactly how I want it. Okay, and then we've got two of these, and I think one I want that piece, and the other one I want this piece. So let's put this bigger one on first. As I say, if you have any questions or something wasn't very clear on how I did it, please just message me, or you can even message me on Facebook if you like, and I'll do my best to explain it better for you. Okay, so there's that piece. We'll cut that off the edge. And then we have the second piece. These were cut out, I believe it's a Sizzix die. Not 100% sure, and I don't have the die handy, but any flower die cut would work, or leaves, or... I just did this. I wanted a little bit more dimension, so I thought the different colors might provide me with that. Okay, so now let's just snip this off a little bit. I don't want it quite sticking out that far from the edge. So there is that. Now my plan is to put 3 flowers on each side, like the other one. I read somewhere a long time ago that you do odd numbers because it actually works out better. I don't know if that's true, but I always tend to do odd numbers just because I think it looks better. And these, I'm not really doing them, laying them out any special way. And just kind of putting them down. But you could adapt these for any one of your journals just by adjusting the color or what you put on them. You could put flowers down here or any kind of theme. You know, if you were doing a horse theme, you could put a horse down there. But as I say, I think they turned out cute. I really like them, and I'll be making more of them. If you don't have acetate, you could use any kind of flower, or you could just leave it bare. You could just leave an open spot there. Okay. So that is pretty much done. I'm just going to press my flowers down into place. So let's put this in here just to see what it looks like all done together. And of course it's always harder to get in the pocket when somebody's watching. And there we have it. There is the second pocket. So we have the two. That one doesn't have the stamp, but you could use any stamp. You could use a photograph or a picture from a book or whatever. But I really like how they turned out. I hope you find this video useful, and I hope it's not too confusing. And I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. And bye for now.